In our original experiment, we investigated how the rate of push-ups affected the number of repetitions possible. To determine this, we did many sets of push-ups at varying speeds while recording this time with a stopwatch and counting the number of repetitions until they slowed significantly. To determine the rate of the set, we divided the number of repetitions by their respective times. Ultimately, we determined that faster rates enabled more repetitions.
In this experiment, we will try to determine whether the principle in our push-up experiment will extend to other exercises, namely the pull-up. We hypothesize that if the tempo at which pull-ups are performed is altered, then quicker tempos will yield more pull-ups than slower tempos. We also predict that the relationship will be linear, and we will calculate exactly what that relationship is.
The independent variable will be the rate at which pull-ups are performed. In what we believe to be an improvement of our original experiment, we will use a metronome to enable a consistent rate throughout each set. Consequently, the unit of the independent variable will be in beats per minute, which is the unit of the metronome. The tempo will be adjusted to change the rate at which the exercise is performed. The dependent variable will be the number of pull-ups performed. We have controlled for several variables that could contaminate the results, such as fatigue and inconsistency. For fatigue, a maximum of 6 sets will be performed each day. Also, the rest intervals will be extended to 5 minutes between sets. In terms of consistency, we have clearly defined the range of motion for the pull-ups. The range will go from a lockout of the arms at the bottom of the movement until the person's head crosses the bar. We will also mark hand positions with tape on the pull-up bar to ensure a consistent setup.
Several materials will be required. First and foremost, a pull-up bar is needed to actually perform the pull-ups. Second, a metronome with an adjustable tempo is required to help maintain a consistent rate for the pull-ups. Third, tape to mark hand positions on the bar. And finally, a way to record progress. We will be using the Notes feature on the iPhone, but a pencil and paper is fine as well.
To conduct this experiment, we completed the following series of steps. Step 1. Gather your materials. Step 2. Mark the pull-up bar with tape to clearly delineate where the person's hands should go. Step 3. Turn on the metronome and change it to a certain tempo between 40 and 160 beats per minute. Make sure that it's in 4/4 time signature. The metronome will help enable consistent pull-ups between all participants. Step 4. Begin performing pull-ups as someone counts the number of repetitions. The metronome will guide the movement. It will take 2 beats to go up and 2 beats to come down. Continue until unable to keep up with this tempo. Step 5. Record the results after each set. Step 6. Rest for 5 minutes. This will help control for fatigue, which may impact the results. Step 7. Repeat at most 6 sets per day with multiple people. Step 8. Graph your results.
We will now show you 3 sets from our experiment at 40, 120, and 160 beats per minute respectively. These are my results alongside my brother's results. The first and third columns are the tempos in BPM, and the second and fourth columns are the number of pull-ups. I performed 3 sets at each tempo at 10 BPM increments, while Chris performed 2 for each. My minimum was 3 at 40 BPM, the slowest tempo available on the metronome, while Chris's was 1. Our highest sets were 13 and 9 respectively at 160 BPM. Overall, my totals seem to be higher than Chris's, potentially because I work out more than he does. There is clearly a positive linear correlation between tempo and the number of pull-ups. Chris's results exhibit virtually the same relationship. We calculated the lines of best fit for both graphs. For my results, the equation was y equals 0.075x on the closed interval of 40 to 160. For Chris, it was y equals 0.06x on the same closed interval. In conclusion, the same principle from the push-up experiment carries over to pull-ups. Quicker tempos and therefore greater rates enable more pull-ups. This is most likely due to less time under tension and therefore less fatigue in the muscles. We hope that our experiment has been informative, and we thank you for your viewership.